Katie from Without a Crystal Ball. Welcome back to my channel. As promised, we are going to talk about Jake Paul because we have an update. Yesterday we did a video where we talked about how he had people show up at his house. You know how you wake up sometimes in the morning and you hear this like tap, tap, tap at the door, and then there's like this swarm of like men dressed in camouflage, and they have like all of their tactical gear on, and they're like, hey, we want to have some coffee. Yeah, that's not what happens, but that's kind of what happened yesterday at his house, except they didn't ask for coffee and Jake Paul wasn't home. So Jake Paul was out of state, but he had a little visit from some federal authorities that were looking for some stuff related to something. And yesterday, when everything was going down, TMZ was actually the first to report it. And there was a lot of questions about like what is this about? Who is it about? What's it entail? Like, why are they there? All these questions that we had zero answers about. All these questions with no answers. And then there was this looming thing was like, is it tied to Armani, Izadi, who is his friend and also a person that has a checkered past? And then there's some questions about, did it relate to some stuff that happened last May, the parties that he held that recently got him in trouble with the mayor of Calabasas? What was this all about? Well, turns out that it's actually related to something that happened back in May in Scottsdale, Arizona. So if you remember, there was a video that went sort of viral after his videographer, Andrew, posted a video of Jake along with his pals in Scottsdale, Arizona at some protests related to George Floyd. It was in that video where you actually see Jake along with his friends go into the Scottsdale Mall, and it is after hours, after everything had closed, to protect the property related to what was all the unrest that was going on outside. Well, while it was closed, people made entry and smashed windows open, and he and his group went in there. And in the video, you can also see one of the guys actually hand him a bottle of like liquor of some sort, I don't know what, and then he takes that. Now, while they were inside, people were making entry into stores like Sephora. They filmed a guy that was actually like vandalizing a car. People were going in and out of stores. Things were being taken, and they were just sort of like laughing. You couldn't really tell if they were involved in it or not because there was like this massive amount of time where there was no footage. So you don't know if we didn't see them make entry. We only saw them actually once they got inside, and we didn't see them going into any stores, only walking through the hallway. Now, when this was posted by his videographer posted it, and then Jake said, no, we were not actually part of what was going on. We were just documenting it. Now, there was actually video of him standing by someone that was shooting off fireworks into the mall, but I don't know if that person was connected to him either. So when that all happened, he denied that he was a part of it, said he would never do that, but that anyways, they charged him with a misdemeanor. Well, apparently yesterday, the district attorney in Scottsdale actually decided to drop the charges because they said that there was actually a federal case that was going forward. So when they announced everything, this is what they said. The Scottsdale Police Department and Scottsdale City Attorney's Office are coordinating with the United States Attorney's Office for the District of Arizona and the FBI to ensure that justice is served regarding criminal acts at the Scottsdale Square on May 30th, 2020. It is in the best interest of the community to dismiss misdemeanor charges without prejudice so that the federal criminal investigation can be completed. Scottsdale retains the option to refile charges depending on the outcome of the federal investigation. So they basically stepped aside and they dropped their misdemeanor charges, which had been like criminal trespassing and something else related to like being part of a unorderly group, right? And they say that this is going to go to the FBI. And so because the FBI is investigating, we're going to drop our charges. And if nothing else happens, or if we're not satisfied with what happens, we can refile charges against him in Scottsdale. Okay. Well, after that, they said the FBI makes a statement that says the FBI is executing a federal search warrant at the residence in Calabasas in connection with an ongoing investigation. The affidavit is in support of the search warrant, has been sealed by a judge, and I am therefore prohibited from telling you what is in it. No arrests were planned. But they did say that this investigation was related to what they perceived as criminal activity related to what happened at that Scottsdale Mall. When they were at Jake's property, there was 3 people that they had charged during this event related to Jake. Jake, Armani, and then his videographer named Andrew. So all 3 of them had been filed and given charges. Now all 3 of them had their charges dropped. Now, here's the interesting part. At the same time that everything was going on at his house in California, Armani's house was being actually raided in Las Vegas, and then another home in Scottsdale or in Arizona was also getting raided. So there was 3 homes actually as a part of the same investigation. Armani actually took to his Instagram account and said this last night.
Get it, you guys are really concerned about the raid that went down at my house. Meanwhile, we got a mansion to paint. The Barbies are here. Yeah? I was in a really good mood when I woke up this morning, and I've been trying to get back into a good mood.
Perfect mood. I don't know about you.
I'm having a hard day. I'm having a hard day, guys. Believe it or not, it's a hard day. People talking trash, a lot of people making up things online today. I'm not going to get into any details other than to tell you the only thing they wanted to know about was Arizona.
Arizona.
Relax.
Unreal.
Relax.
So Armani said that there's a lot of stuff going on the internet right now that's not accurate. There's not a lot of people that know the true story, and it's only related to what happens in Arizona. So Keemstar had put out a video yesterday where this guy that he talked to used to live in the Team 10 house, alleged that Armani did all these really bad things and was doing really terrible things to women, and all these really bad women crimes were happening there. And Keemstar maybe was trying to see if this was not connected to Jake. It seemed as though he wanted to place the blame almost on Armani. I'm not sure. I don't really know what his angle was there. It just seemed like the guy there was only talking about how bad Armani was, and they didn't really say anything about Jake. Either way, this doesn't seem to involve what's happening at that house, but more so what happened in Arizona. Now, when there's an investigation like this, though, if they happen to, say, stumble upon something else that happens that is an activity that is not legal, they will also kind of have to investigate that as well. So when you have one investigation going on and then you happen to walk into other crimes, you know, things can be added on. So yesterday when they were at his house, there was this video footage of him, of these people taking out all of these really long guns. Well, those were apparently part of a not a stockpile. I mean, I wouldn't say it was like 300,000 of these, but they were long guns, and they appeared to be at least one of them appeared to be maybe an AR 15 or an AR fashioned one. Either way, they took and confiscated those arms. So what would happen, like, if those were legal or illegal? Well, if they're legal and he has the proper permits for them, they will like give them back to him, right? But if they were obtained illegally, or if it's actually a gun that's not allowed in the state of California, he could actually face charges for those. So in the state of California, there is actually a law that prohibits people from owning assault rifles, and at least one of the ones that appeared in a video with Tanner Fox appears to be somewhat of an AR-15. AR-15s are actually not legal in the state of California unless you have it modified properly. If it's modified properly, then you can own it, but if it's not, you can't. And it doesn't matter if you got it in another state, you can actually get into pretty serious trouble. You can actually get jail time, like 18 months to 4 years. So they'll have to figure out if they're owned legally, what kind they are, if there's permits, and if he's using them properly. Now, a neighbor actually spoke to CBS Los Angeles, and they said that, like, in the middle of the night, they were hearing all kinds of noises at Jake Paul's house. And he also talks about how, you know, the house has a lot of parties. He also made the mention that Jake actually rents his home, and that they just rent the house and they have these big parties. Well, I'm not sure that Jake actually rents the house, but the neighbor did say that this household is very disruptive in the neighborhood, and they're not super thrilled with them, okay? Well, that got me thinking onto another trail about Jake's house. So one of the big things is that he owns this massive home. It's like, I don't even know, 15,000 square feet. It's a big house in Calabasas, California. He moved into this house in 2017 after he had rented out another home where he got kicked out of because of the noise and the complaints and all of the pranks, right? Well, this home appears to have been purchased in 2017 and placed into a trust. Now, that's not uncommon if you have someone who has like celebrity status, because putting it into a trust would make it less visible and harder for the public to find the records for. But the interesting thing to note is that Jake in 2017 also failed to pay his taxes. So there is a humongous tax lien on this guy. So not only is the FBI looking for him, but the IRS is too. The IRS wants him to pay back $2 million. Yes, not $2, not $200,000, not 2 cents, $2 million. So there is actually a federal tax lien that's been placed in Los Angeles related to Jake Paul for his 2017 taxes. It's filed for his 1040 self-employment income, and they say that he never paid taxes for the money in which he made that year. So he owes the IRS more than $2 million. He has the federal government coming and looking for stuff related to looting. And when you have money owed to the IRS and you have the looting stuff going on, and then they find weapons, this could mean a lot of trouble for him. Now, they placed a lien on Jake at the time, and now the home is not actually owned in Jake's name. So the lien, the lien doesn't appear to be attached to the property because the property appears to be held in a trust. Messy, right? So is the home in the trust done this way so that Jake can avoid the lien on his taxes? That I don't know, but that could be a whole other can of worms, because if he's avoiding placing assets in his name so that he doesn't have to get liens put on by the federal government so that they can seize property, that's called tax evasion. Now, I don't want to say that that's what he's done. A lot of celebrities absolutely will put things into trust, but if you're doing it with the sole purpose to avoid taxes, that can get him into a ton of trouble. So just keep your eyes open for potential IRS happenings with him. And it's interesting that he has all this money that he owes because he has no problem flashing his cash. He has Lamborghinis. He has this huge house. He's constantly buying new toys. And yet he owes the government $2 million. You've got the FBI coming to look for you. You have the IRS that wants $2 million. And on top of all of that, he is facing a lawsuit in the state of California as well, a federal lawsuit for copyright infringement. So back in 2019 in December, these 3 music producers actually sued him because they say that his hit Litmus was actually a ripoff of their song from 2015 called Bad Santa. These 3 producers allege that he and his musicians actually were in the same music studio as them, and they must have heard his song because they say that the songs are nearly identical. So he actually didn't respond, and initially there was a default judgment awarded to the 3 producers, and then he responded, and now it's literally in court right now where he literally just answered to it, and it's moving forward in the process. So he's denied all of these allegations. He says that this is not a ripoff. This was his song. I couldn't actually find a comparison, but there's a lot of speculation here. And then a week ago, he put out a new video and another YouTuber accused him of ripping off his song. So he's being accused by multiple people for his copyright infringement. He owes the IRS a ton of money. And now the FBI is looking at him related to looting and potentially now these weapons. So could they find other stuff related to the girls and all the stuff related to Armani? Maybe. I'm not sure. But this is what they're saying right now. It's related to looting. He owes money. We'll have to see what happens. So are you surprised by any of this? Does it shock you that Jake is in this kind of trouble? It doesn't actually surprise me that he hasn't paid his taxes. This is totally common in this kind of world. It doesn't actually surprise me that he hasn't paid his taxes because this kind of stuff happens all the time with young influencers. But it does surprise me that, he would have these arms so visibly put out on the internet. And Tanner Fox actually put that video up. Could that have been a catalyst? I don't know, but it might explain why they had to use the SWAT team, because they may have feared that because of the amount of guns that he does have, they might have feared the fact of, potential altercations. Thankfully, everything was made, entrance was made without no issues. And the FBI says that there hadn't been any arrests planned for yesterday, but the investigation remains ongoing, and Jake Paul's attorney says they intend to fully cooperate. All right, you guys, so what are your thoughts? What about all these things? Do you think there will be an arrest? Do you think he'll go to jail? And do you care about Jake Paul anymore, or is he canceled? Bye, guys.